many people, including me, think Keir Starmer is an absolute bellend, and now another person does. One of his own MPs, presumably anyway, because he's just thrown her under the bus. But why? What's going on? Well, according to this article, it says that Keir Starmer throws minister under the bus as he's skewered in the PMQs clash. So, that minister was, as far as I'm aware, the farming minister, who apparently, according to this, was caught telling farmers that they are not high up on the government's pecking order. Now, I don't know about you, but it seems to me that Labour, from what I've seen so far, actually are focused on other things like, taking away the winter fuel allowance, dishing out loads more bad news, and of course paying off the entire country. And yes, therefore, it does seem that, unfortunately, Labour really does seem to be putting farmers to the back of the queue when they should actually be trying to make the whole mess up to them, because, let's face it, they've cost them quite a bit of money, and of course, we'll feel that impact as well, no doubt, when our costs are going to go up through the roof. And by saying what she said, she kind of has either done one or two things. Number one, let the cat out of the bag, which of course Labour probably won't want to deal with. And number two, has in my opinion made Keir Starmer look a complete tosspot in the process. But the Environmental Minister, Daniel Zajka, I hope I pronounced that right, was speaking at the Norfolk Farming Conference when he was confronted over Rachel Reeves' hated inheritance tax hikes on hard work and landowners. And at Prime Minister's questions, Tory MP Harriet Cross condemned the comments. She said yesterday's farming minister told a conference on farmers that farming is not high up in the pecking order of this government. Given the heartless family farm tax, is this minister correct? Yes or no? And as you can imagine, Keir Starmer's probably pooping his pants again, thinking, oh, what am I going to say? Well, the humiliated Prime Minister, it says here, was forced to slap down his own minister for the comments, insisting farming's top of the agenda as far as I'm concerned. Well, it doesn't really look that way from my point of view, Keir. From what your party has been doing anyway, eh? His reply sparked merciless laughter from the opposition benches, and rightly so, because it seems as if they've been going after farmers more than anything, doesn't it? But no sir in my book, but Keir continued. That's why we put £5 million to support farmers in the budget. They failed to spend £300 million on their watch on farming, and we've set out our roadmap which has been welcomed by the NFU, as she very well knows. And Mo Metcalfe-Fisher of the Countryside Alliance told The Express the news that farming is top of the government's agenda comes as somewhat of a welcome surprise. I am not sure that the Chancellor's got the memo though, as she's still refusing to engage with farmers over the disastrous family farm tax. And until this happens, it's difficult to see how the government's rural and farming agenda won't be overshadowed by the fallout from the budget. So how long then do we reckon it will be before Keir Starmer does, or Rachel Reeves in this case, will do a belly dance and U-turn and say, oh sorry, we may have made a boo-boo, we'll put it right for you? I think, unfortunately, that still won't happen. Of course, governments never like to admit they're in the wrong, do they? Mr. Zajka's comments sparked fury yesterday, bluntly saying the budget is what the budget is. And a second source in the room described the comments as causing the atmosphere in the entire building to just go. But get this, the Daily Express's Save Britain's Family Farms has demanded a U-turn. So we might be seeing that U-turn, or belly dance and U-turn as what's commonly known as, very quickly indeed. Well, hopefully anyway. But what are they all said about it then? Well, a spokesperson for the Department of the Environment said, our support for farmers is steadfast. It is why we are investing £5 billion over 2 years directly into the pockets of farmers for the tireless work they do in putting food on the nation's tables as the stewards of our countryside. Well, we'll just have to wait and see, won't we, if they do actually materialise with that £5 billion. Because, from what I've heard, there's £22 billion black hole, which Labour just won't shut the F up about going on. So I'm wondering if this is more of a case of smoke and mirrors rather than the government actually doing anything. But of course, we'll just have to wait and see.